Hello and welcome back to 199 at a time. I turned in 9,820 commendation points to hit 87 hit points and 70 combat, and I'm ready to move on to the intermediate boat. I went ahead and loaded up on over 50,000 more fire strikes, which should last me quite a while. And I also decided to add a total play timer, so it's much easier to get an idea of how long these grinds actually take. I do this with the time played plugin in RuneLite, so I don't have to keep up with an external timer. During the novice boat grind, I would see people frequently say that the novice boat is better points than the intermediate boat. I made the claim that I thought 32 to 87 hit points would take around as long as 87 to 99 earlier, banking on the intermediate boat being much better. Hopefully I wasn't just trying to convince myself that this portion of the grind wasn't going to take 300 hours. I'm going to need close to 16,000 more points to hit 99 hit points, so time to jump in and see if it's better or worse. It's noticeable right away that the average game length is going to be a bit longer, which isn't surprising since each portal has 50 more hit points. I'll use runes a bit faster than I did in the novice boat, but that also means I'll get more experience an hour from my fire strikes, and everything helps. I probably won't break 2 million gold by the end of this grind because of this, but I'd much rather get more experience anyways. I had 4 points when I started, and after 61 minutes I got 100 more points and gained around 3,700 hit points experience. I only had 2 rounds out of that which failed, so it seems like I might have gotten a bit lucky in my first hour, but it's a huge increase from the 60 to 80 points an hour I was usually getting on the novice boat. At around 250 points, I ran into this troll. They only join games so they can repeatedly close the gate. Being no stranger to trolls on the internet, I figured the best way to deal with them is to ignore them. They have their friends chat on, probably so they can rage bait private messages from people, so I just added them to my friends list and leave the boat anytime I saw them at the start of a game. Leaving the boat has no penalty, and I figured out that during much of the day, there are more than 10 boats active, so most of the time you will jump right into another game. Which ties into how I approach pest control on the intermediate boat in general. Like I said during the novice boat grind, there was very little variance and typically only one full boat was active. So the only way to really affect my points an hour was running my main if it was needed. On the intermediate boat, I have a ton of control over how to get points efficiently, and I think people that are claiming the novice boat is better points an hour probably don't approach the intermediate boat in the right way. I don't want to make a pest control guide or anything, but here's a couple of tips on how I maximize my points by being a bit more proactive. The first thing I do is keep an eye on the portal's hit points as they are dropping their shields, and if the first 2 portals that are vulnerable are not taking damage by the time the third one drops its shields, that means I'm probably on a boat with a ton of people AFK or bots. When the portals become attackable, the first portal is on one side of the island, and the second on the other side. So if neither side is taking damage, the game is probably going to be a loss. At that point, I usually leave the boat and get into another round before that boat ends, so I end up only wasting around a minute instead of 3+ minutes on a loss. Leaving early also means you don't have to do what people normally do to avoid bad boats. The thing I see people do a lot, and I do myself if I forget to leave during a bad boat, is waiting for 1 or 2 boats worth of people to leave so I don't end up stuck in another bad game. This will put me in a different boat, but it also adds more wasted time, so if you really want to get points efficiently, just leave the bad games early. I decided that the giant play timer was a little distracting, and I figured out that I can just overlay my time played on the report button instead not long into this grind. And most people think of RuneScape in terms of hours played instead of days, so I think I'll leave it this way for the rest of the series. It took me 41 hours to hit my first 4,000 points, which means I maintained my points an hour the whole time and got around 98 points per hour. I also gained 129,000 hit points experience from fire striking. If I keep this up, the total grind for 87 to 99 will end up being pretty close to 32 to 87. I can pretty confidently say now that the novice boat is much worse than the intermediate boat, mostly because of the large amount of downtime between games you have on the novice boat. During these 4,000 points, my best day was around 1,050 points, compared to 900 from the novice boat grind. I think I played at least 2 more hours during that day on the novice boat as well. Time for the first turn-in of the intermediate boat. I want to get more experience an hour each time I do this, so let's see how fast I can click. Starting off at 4.1 million experience, and 46,200 experience per turn-in this time. There's a nice jump up to 50,050 experience at 89 hit points. Well, that was pretty good. Another 1.94 million experience gained, and 4 more hit points levels. I broke 85 million experience an hour at one point for that turn-in, but I'm pretty confident I'll be able to beat that later. Back to the grind, so I can do it again. Still lots of leaving early to avoid bad boats, and I started logging out and in instead of running to the night to leave when I'm not in combat. As soon as you hit the login button again, you can be taken right into a round before even seeing the game open, so another easy way to avoid wasting time. I probably had this bug where the camera freaks out 3 or 4 times during the whole grind, but only recorded it once. It seems to happen if you go through the gates right as they're closed. And there's another 4,000 points and around 41 hours again, with 132,000 hit points experience gained. The rates stay very consistent at nearly 100 points an hour as long as I'm paying attention. Let's get the experience tracker ready, because I'm feeling pretty good about my speed this time. Starting off at 50,050 experience a turn-in again, up to 53,900 at 92 hit points. And that's 94 hit points. I broke 100 million on the experience tracker for the first time. I was hoping I would break it on one of these turn-ins, but I didn't think it would be this early. That's 2.12 million more experience gained, and I'm at 8.3 million experience now in hit points, so well over the halfway point. Time to get another 4,000 points. I hit 101 virtual magic level, so around 2.85 million experience gained in magic from fire striking so far. I got the next 4,000 more points in closer to 43 hours, mainly because of my sleep schedule. I was staying up later, and after around midnight CST, the boats start falling off pretty hard. It never goes completely dead like the novice boat, but playing during the late night hours is much worse. Either way, it's time to turn in the last full 4,000 points I'll be getting on this grind. It's up to 53,900 experience a turn-in right now, and up to 57,750 at level 95 hit points. And that was my best turn-in yet, ending at 104 million experience an hour on the tracker, with 2.28 million experience gained. I went from 95 to 97 hit points, and now I'm in the final stretch of the grind. I should need 36 to 3,700 more points to finish off 99 hit points, so I'll probably just get 3,700 so I don't end up lacking enough points to hit 99 like I did for 87 hit points last episode. And here's the last game for 3,700 points and 99 hit points. I actually woke up early for once during this set of points, and got 1,270 points in a day, which would have been enough for a full void set if I wanted it. It took me 38 hours for this last set of points. Here it is, time to put the finishing touches on this grind. And I'm getting 57,750 experience per turn-in right now. This was definitely a long skill, and this portion of it took me 162 hours, which actually means going from 87 to 99 hit points was about 2 hours faster than 32 to 87. The total grind was 326 hours. Without doing the combat achievements, it would have been closer to 400 hours. This is probably the only skill I'll be training, where other players had a huge impact on the experience gains, and I had some fun figuring out how to use that to my advantage. Here it is. After over a month of pest control, there's 99 hit points. I went all the way up to 117 million experience an hour on the tracker for that turn-in. It took me 25,520 points to reach 99 hit points, and it's time to go grab my hit pointscape. I turned off the virtual levels RuneLight plugin so I could see how my skills look, and wow, it looks clean. Only 2 skills in, and everything is either 1 or 99. No cash issues now since I have over 1.8 million gold from pest control, and there's my first skill cape. I've always liked the hit points cape, and the emote especially. Apparently you can't do the cape emote in the duel arena, so I guess I'll run out of here. That's a pretty cool emote, and now I'm at the point in the account where I've done the prerequisites for me to be able to pick what I want to do next, so I have some decisions to make. I've had people make a ton of suggestions on how I should approach what I do next. Things like doing combat only first, and focusing on Slayer, ignoring combat completely, and going full skiller, trying to be as efficient as possible, going full masochist, and ignoring agility completely while maxing everything else, and a ton of other interesting ideas. But when it comes down to it, I've decided I'm just going to do what sounds the most interesting to me. So my plan is to set a goal that will usually require a few skills to accomplish. And what sounds the most interesting to me, after doing so many massive stored experience turn-ins from pest control, is taking stored experience turn-ins to the next level. I want to get 99 prayer, and I want to do it in Soul Wars. When it comes to stored combat experience, I don't think anything can beat Soul Wars. I couldn't find any information about a zeal cap for Soul Wars anywhere on the old school wiki, and the RuneScape 3 wiki said they have a 50,000 zeal cap. I ended up asking Mod Ash on Twitter, and apparently there's basically no cap for Soul Wars zeal in old school RuneScape. Zeal has somewhere around 80 to 85% of the value of a pest control point, and I'll need a ridiculous amount of them since you get much more experience in the other combat skills compared to prayer. This means I can turn in nearly all of my prayer experience in a single turn-in. I was kind of surprised when I heard this because I assumed if it was unlimited, there would be at least some people who had turned in over 13 million experience in one go, but I couldn't find anything. Hopefully this information is correct, and if it is, maybe I'll end up being the first person to pull it off. Let me know if you know of any videos where someone turns in that much prayer experience with zeal. Before I can do Soul Wars, I first need to get 3 more skills to 99 because Soul Wars has an entry requirement of 500 total level. So now that that's decided, the question now is what skills will I be training to hit 500 total level? And the obvious first one is going to be agility. In every Soul Wars strategy I'll be running a lot, and doing it with one agility would be pointless and add a ton of time to the grind. I'll have to consider what other 2 skills I want to do before I start prayer, but I'll decide on those after agility. Now that I've laid out my plans, I mentioned that I would be doing stuff useful to my ultimates grinds on my main, so here's what I've been doing. I had nearly no Zulrah skills, and I fished 265,000 of them so far. I've also made 60,000 Amethyst darts. I'll more than likely be using both of those for the Soul Wars grind. I also went ahead and killed Vorkath for his head to get Ava's Assembler, since I hadn't done any kills after finishing the quest. I'm really glad to be done with hit points and pest control, and it's time to run around in circles for a few hundred hours to get 99 agility. I also have plans to start streaming, but I'm leaning towards doing that after the agility grind, since I still have some stuff I need to set up before I try that out. Thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you all next time.